Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2.
Started on our work session for May. So thank you to everyone for being here, and especially our furry friends. We're so excited. All right, Dr. Neal, we'll turn it over to you. Walk us through our work session.
Okay, on our agenda, the first thing up is the certified therapy dogs. And we're so excited to start the meeting with our furry friends. I would love for Dr. Logan to come up. And then as she comes up, I would like for Adam and Erin Hyper to come up, Sky and Laura Stalls, and Bullet and Krista DeMint. These are the handlers and the dogs. So I'm super, super excited. And so what we have right now for the handlers, we have official Trussville City Schools name tags. 4 dogs, and these are picture IDs for Adam, Sky, and Bullet. And so I'm very proud to present you with the official Trussville City Schools identification badge for your dog. And I'll give these to Dr. Logan. And I will let you give those out or pin them on, however you want to do it. Tell us a little bit about the program.
Yeah, over 2 years ago, we applied, actually, Laura is our, one of our resident dog animal lovers, and she came to me and, said, have you heard about the State Department grant with facility dogs? And so we looked into it, and the first application was for Laura to have a dog, and it's taken 2 years. But once we got that application moving, several others said they wanted to do it, and we actually have some in for the elementary school as well. So it's just COVID put a year damper on training, and so we've been waiting, and I think over the next 2 years there'll be more dogs available. So we're really excited, but I would love for y'all to talk a little bit about the experience, and then just maybe a story or two from what's happened just in the short time they've been here already.
Yeah, I don't mind starting. One of the biggest things that we've heard from kids just in general is that she's made them happy when they come to the building. They're happy anyway, but they come in, and a couple who have had tests or been nervous about something, they come in and see her and they get super excited. They get on the floor with her and they're so excited, and they're like, oh my gosh, this just made my day. And I'm so happy to see her. So, and we've had a couple of incidents where kids would just come in, stressed, or I've had more kids in my office this week than I have probably however. I mean, can I just see Sky? Can I see her? Requests from teachers will you come by and visit our classroom? So it's wonderful. It gets me up and gets me out, visiting all grade levels. And Sky just goes in and she just visits. If you take her in the classroom, tell her to go visit, she walks up and down every single row. If a student doesn't want to see, if they're a little fearful, they'll put their hands on their desk, and she knows just to pass them by, and she goes to the next. So it's been absolutely wonderful. And for me too, it just gives me whole new life of just being able to have that excitement with the kids. So it's been great.
They haven't seen each other since the training. So
Tell the difference between what Adam does versus this.
So Adam is still in training. He knows all the commands, but he needed to be socialized, like in a school setting. So just to hear the different noises, smell the different things around the school. And so we've learned he's not quite ready for the band room yet. It's a little too loud right now, so we're gonna work on that. So he'll be with us just a few months. So I told them I would be happy just to cycle dogs through. And so, but he's done great too. I think initially we were all thinking, okay, we're only gonna have like 3 weeks with them at the end of school. And so that's kind of tough, but I almost think it's kind of given our kids like a little get up and go the last few weeks. And so something to look forward to. So the kids have done great with them. They are super excited. And so yeah, he's done great.
Awesome.
And I'll just say, what was really cool is we got to hear all these stories last week. I mean, we had like tears in our eyes hearing stories of these dogs at different schools already that have been there even less than a year, and just stories about kids that these dogs could sense things going on that we don't know. And these kids would either, lay on the floor and start spilling their life, like with no one even around or whatever it was. And I'll say the first day, just Monday, and it was kind of stressful. It was just doggy day, really, just taking him around the school, whatever. I'm sure you guys are the same way. I know Adam was, but within probably 2 hours, I had a little buddy upset, and he was in my office crying. And at first, you know, Bullet wasn't really like all over him or anything, but a few minutes later I said, "You want to pet him?" And he got in the floor, and I mean, he just sat there and held on to that dog, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe like already what they said is already happening. And then by that afternoon, it was Ms. Chapman had another student in her office, had been in there for a while. She was having a really tough day. And at some point she said, "Come on down and see the dog when you're done." I had another kiddo in my office, and she came down, and I don't even really know her that well. And it was just like, she's brand new to us this year. She's kind of had a tough time. And she was just sitting on the floor with the dog, just talking. I mean, I just could not believe that the very first day of having these dogs, like seeing like what we heard about at the training. So it's pretty cool. It was neat. It's already been very cool. And the adults as well. We've got a couple adults that every day, you know, come get their love.
For sure.
I will say the organization did a really great job. I mean, of course, training the dogs, but you can tell they have a good education background as well. And so I was really impressed with the people who trained us. And so they really care about what these guys do at the school. So.
Will they show us a few commands?
Well, you know I have treats.
Oh, yeah. Bullet works really well for treats.
Well, sometimes.
Scott, come here.
Let's see if it's.
She might think of, Scott, she's done a couple of presentations for kids in class. Okay, lay down. Roll it. Roll it. You're gonna embarrass me. Roll it. She says, "I don't have treats." So she's doing treats.
It's been a long work day.
Scott. Okay, that way. Roll it. She actually, I had some kids who did presentations and speeches today, and they asked me to come by, and Scott did all kinds of stuff for them for their presentations. So I think she's tired of that. She's just
I'm finished.
You ready? You ready? You sit. Okay. Sit. Good boy. Down. Good boy. Can you sleep? Sleep. Sit nicely. Sleep. 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 Okay, fine. You want to show me what you like to do? Stand up. Hey, speak. Come on, speak. Okay, good boy. Yeah. Can you wait? Wait. Oh.
He'll usually shake.
Hey, come on. Come on, sit. Can you wait? Good boy. Shake. Hey, good boy. Flip. Can you nudge? Nudge. Good boy. Good boy.
Well, thank y'all for bringing them. I can't wait to see next year what's gonna happen. I know they're gonna
Thank y'all.
do great things.
We love having.
It's exciting.
Yeah,
It's
yes.
great.
Let's welcome.
Wait. He hasn't worked much.
Thinks it's his boyfriend.
Yeah.
Love press. Trying to have the press not.
They do, yes. Thank you all again. Next on our agenda is Impact Mental Health Services, and you'll have an item in our consent agenda to welcome Impact Mental Health Services to Trussville, and they'll be housed in our former alternative learning center. And we anticipate more need for mental health services as we come out of the pandemic. So they'll be housed here for next year. And I'll let Dr. Logan say a few words about that and the contract for their agreement in the consent agenda. And I have talked to Mayor Shaw as well. He's in favor of this.
Yeah, we have contracted with Impact for many years now to provide counseling services in our schools. They also provide counseling services at their location, which currently is in Vestavia. So in proximity, it's not terribly far, but for our students and families to get there, isn't convenient like it would be here. So the executive director came to us probably a few months ago and just said, their board was looking at providing services somewhere out in this area because of how many students over the years they have seen with us. And, we just continue to provide those services to our kids. And so just thinking of location and how that might work, we thought about the ALC, we visited with them, and it's going to be a great fit for what they need and what we need. And so the awesome collaboration would be that, our services would be discounted, of course, in lieu of providing a spot for them. So they would continue to do what they've done in our system, but it would give our families closer access. And they also operate a more therapeutic program at their Vestavia location, and we would have the benefit of that here. So should a student need a day school type program, they can offer that as well. So it will expand the services that they currently offer to us just because of proximity. It will also allow them to open it up to other students in the area that might not be a Trussville City School student to participate in that day school piece. So it's a win-win for kids in this area and for our students specifically. So we're excited to partner with them in this way. Expand the partnership. I agree with Dr. Neal. There will be more students in need of some counseling and more intensive services next school year.
We will have students coming into our buildings that haven't been there in the full year.
Yeah.
We're trying to anticipate what that might be like. For example, for a 7th grader who never has been to the middle school, and now it's time to go to the middle school, but they missed 6th grade as a virtual student. That will have a need for tender loving care. So any questions for us? Thank you. Okay, next up is a contract with Kelly Services for our substitute teachers. And then I will let Mr. Kirkland explain this because it will help us so much. It's a great deal. So Mr. Kirkland, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Neal. Kelly Services has been around forever, but probably about 10 years ago, they started a niche where they would provide schools with substitute teachers. So basically what they do is they take the role of the substitute off of the school system entirely. They become employees of Kelly's, and then through technology, the teacher would request a sub for whatever reason, they're sick, professional development, whatever, and then Kelly's would assign a sub to the school. We looked at it probably about 7-8 years ago. It wasn't good timing. And just everything through the past year with the subs that we have used, we wanted to look at it again, and there's just so many benefits. First of all the administration is taken off of Dr. Logan's office and my office, and then the school in general. If a teacher requests a sub within a certain amount of time, it's 100% guaranteed that they will fill it. The best thing is, like if the teacher wakes up sick in the morning, they'll get on the phone. So they're calling subs where our bookkeeper used to, or a principal or assistant principal. So it just takes that burden off of them. With the Affordable Health Care Act, we really had to monitor the subs' hours, and this just opens up opportunities for our employees. Bus drivers can now sub if they want to. We would used to, or currently, if you're a bus driver, we would limit you to 2 days subbing if you wanted to. Now, because they're no longer a Trussville City School employee, they can sub 5 days a week. And since then, in the past 8 to 10 years, Jefferson County has gone on to Kelly's, Mountain Brook, Vestavia, Homewood, Hoover. Pretty much everybody around us is on it. So if we decide, if the board grants us this opportunity, immediately our sub pool opens up because it gets all their subs too. We define our criteria, so it's not like we lessen anything that the Trussville standard is our standard. And we have standards for our subs, and we're not going to change that. But basically, they take our sub list and they become Kelly's employees. Obviously, there's a cost to that. But I could sit here all night talking about the benefits. I really think it's a great opportunity for a teacher. It makes things easier for everybody. And yes, there is a cost, but the benefits I feel greatly outweigh the cost. So if you have any questions about how it works, or
now, will everyone now come under that rather than just being independent?
we would retain bus driver subs because of their specialized training, and they have to pass the state test, and we train those. After they pass the test, we train those. And also the lunchroom subs. The primary reason for those two categories is a lot of times we end up hiring from that pool to fill our positions. And when you're using somebody like Kelly's, you have to pay them a fee to hire their employee. So we feel like with the food certifications, SAT-CERT, and bus driver, we need to retain those. But they would do everything else. Teachers, long-term subs, custodians, any other type of substitute position that we would.
How do they maintain control over the quality of that? What happens to the sub that comes in? And the principal have something happens? Does the principal have a say-so about that person? When they evaluate them?
If just for example, if someone came in and we felt that they did not meet our standards as a substitute, all we had to do is make a phone call and say, this sub's really not a good fit. And you can say, this sub's not a fit for the high school, but they're okay for the elementary school, or vice versa. Or we really don't want that. And they just come back.
Will their pay scale be similar to what we do?
They pay exactly what we said.
But then we don't pay them. It doesn't come out of that.
That's correct.
But we do pay Kelly service.
Correct.
So they take upon all the costs.
All the, and of course they provide benefits that we do not. But, they're responsible for all the FICA taxes, unemployment taxes, everything that we would normally pay. They pay that. They pay our rates. So we pay, just for example, we pay a substitute with a teacher certification, which I think is $78 a day. They pay $78 a day. So,
How do they make their money?
well, just the
Guess
way it
getting how
works.
much more, right?
Yeah, the way it works, I'm gonna round it off to $100 because that's I don't want to embarrass myself. Doing that. Basically, the way it costs us is with FICA and all of that stuff. $100 sub will cost us about 100 and just round it off about $120. They charge a markup fee of 1.39. So basically on a $100 sub, we'll pay $139. So that extra $19 to $20 is their markup that we pay for that.
Does that markup change if you're a long-term sub versus, is that a daily?
It's a percentage of the daily rate. So if it's, for example, a long-term sub who is, their daily rate's $250, then their markup is 1.39 of 250 versus 1.39. So you have a $70 markup on the long-term side. So yes, it is one of those.
So, Jim, I'm probably the only person here that woke up my Kelly services. A lot of days, because my wife does substitutes for my brother.
Oh.
And they are incredibly good. Our phones ring in about 5:15, 5:30 some days if they're having troubles on substitutes. And during COVID, I think you can all appreciate it was a challenge sometimes getting outside. And there were days that were stressful, but I think it's industry is moving to outsource employees where it makes sense because they're certified at 1.39. There's a lot of other good return for us in the area. So I would just say from experience I've had listening to phone calls, they're diligent, they have a large pool of people to pick from, which can be helpful. Yes, we do have different requirements from the schools, but to answer my question, Steve asked if we can set our requirement for our people, and you can't control it. So I think it makes sense, and that's a little bit of money, but the headache it's going to take off so many people.
Well, and here's, in my world, here's the biggest reason why I wanted to explore it. Not that a decision has been made, but this past year, with everything we went through, we were able to provide what we termed as permanent subs at every school. And they were there 5 days a week, all day long, every day. And depending on what happened, this day they may be in this classroom, this afternoon they may be in this, they're all over the building. And they were there every day. Under the Affordable Health Care Act, they're limited to an average, and I don't want to get too involved in it, but they're limited to an average of 30 hours for the year. And they've already worked half the year, well above that average. So not knowing what this fall's going to bring, hopefully we're going to be back to a normal world. But if we had to go back into that scenario, it would very limit us to what we could do. If they're outsourced, they can come all day long every day. It just gives us the opportunity to provide those services where it's internal. We may have to say, no, you can't.
You didn't mention workers' comp, I'm assuming that's covered by them as well.
That comes, well, interesting, because we're state, our that's handled a little differently. So that actually comes out of their cut. They're actually paying a tax, if you will, more than we are, because they have to provide workers' comp, where we go through the state legal adjustment. So our costs are much smaller than a private business, but yes, you're absolutely.
And I guess the substitutes, I would imagine most of the subs that we use are local right now. That's the current. So, and I guess they would have opportunity if they wanted to go and sub at Mount Forest or Vestavia or whatever, but they would also have the ability to opt out of that option. Say, I only want to be called for Trussville.
It can get as granular as I want to sub for this teacher, or the teacher says, I only want this sub. It goes both ways, and it can be as fine-tuned as that or the right.
Okay, so I know that a lot of times we have in the past hired from within, and you have somebody that comes in and do a great job.
Mhm.
So I know that, I'm sure Kelly has a percentage markup on that. What is the markup on that?
Do y'all have the contract info?
Yes.
It's actually, if you go to where the green bar is, I think it may be the first page. It's actually there at the bottom. It's a scale of how long they've worked for them. If they're a newbie, if they've worked for like 1 to 30 days, it's so much.
Then it dropped off significantly.
Yeah, 31.
Well,
Yeah,
no, I'm just
you
saying,
basically buy but you're absolutely right.
Well, we've tried to use outside services in my own law firm before, and it's been cost prohibitive to us because they want $20,000 when you're employee, not much more than that. That's why I was trying.
It's
to
not quite that bad. We'll make sure that they work at least 35 days for them.
Yeah.
Because it drops significantly after, I think, the 30-day mark.
Well, I guess that's the question. What if somebody comes in and they sub for us, you know, in January, they do a good job, and then come May, we have a teacher that says they're retiring, and we think, oh, we really like that sub back in January. We're obligated to pay Kelly there. I mean, is there?
By that time, they're, I'll find the contract. I wish I had it for them.
I'm sorry.
That'd be way
It's-
less.
It's way less. It's really in that first 30 days that they work for Kelly, it's not us.
Mhm.
So, for example, if Kelly's hires an employee and we hire them within the first 30 days, it was like $6,700.
Mhm.
After 30 days, it drops down by like 2,500.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then after 60 days, it's like 1,000. And then
so we would just wait till day 36.
we'll wait about,
Yeah.
we'll wait about to that
We'll
last.
put a franchise tag on our current people or
Yeah.
something where we don't.
We'll milk it to where it's the, it's the lowest possible. And, that's just a great way of trying them out.
Sure, and I guess I'm thinking more in the terms of long-term subs. You got somebody that comes in on, well, a teacher's on maternity leave, that just seems like it's a big markup for somebody that's gonna be here that long. I feel like you ought to get a discount. They're gonna be with us for longer than just a week, or, coming in at the last minute when, somebody wakes up sick that morning, for instance. Then I feel like, I don't know if that's negotiable at all, but I mean, it just seems like, okay, I've got a teacher that's 6 months pregnant, she's gonna be out in, from February to May. We're letting you know in, September. I feel like we ought to get a discount there, but I guess the question is, once we're going with Kelly, do we have to use their people? Could we go outside of Kelly and find somebody to come in? Or are we obligated to use their people?
We talked to him about that for long term. We talked to him about that.
Aren't the rates the
Well,
same?
at one point, the first time we looked at them, we took up long terms off the table for that reason, because we hired them. This time, I'd be a little hesitant. If we're looking at doing the permanent sub situation in the fall, which I know some of the principals have expressed a desire for that. It's not a lot of people, but that just kind of opens up a door for federal fines that we don't want. I think it's easier just to milk it. I mean, I hate to use that term. Use them till they're at an affordable rate and then just.
Okay.
If we have a long-term, and most, usually, they take their 12 weeks on a maternity leave. So that's a 3-month leave. By that time, they're well beyond the real expensive fees. And, they're at an affordable amount.
You said the day rates were the same, 78, 78 or whatever. Is the long-term day rate?
Yes, the way a long-term sub situation works is for the first 20 days of an assignment, they're at a regular pay rate. On day 21, they will go to first step of the teacher's pay rate. So it significantly jumps. And it's because they have committed to filling a medical leave or a maternity leave, and they may work for us for 3 or 4 months.
My follow-up question, the rate that Kelly charges us for that and the rate that we currently pay for that, or
The rate is the factor's the same, it's like 1.39. So it's a percentage
right?
of the data rate. So
But if you're a
percentage is the
long-term
same.
sub,
The day
you
rate is
make
the same.
more money a day than you do if you're a short-term
I
sub.
understand it, but I'm
So then
saying
you take
It's
that
the
times
same.
what Kelly charges us for long-term sub, what we currently pay for a long-term sub equal, then it's only increased to us is just 1.39.
That's right.
Correct.
Plus any acquisition costs.
So
Correct.
1.39 of $200 and something a day is a lot higher than the
Yeah.
1.9 of the 7. I mean, it's a dollar amount. It ends up being a lot more money.
Sure.
To that. So it's-
If we get back to normal,
And I think it ought to be opposite.
Do we,
They didn't ask me.
you feel sure we won't lose any quality? In other words, right now, our subs are needing to go through training from us, right? So they know what to expect when they come into our school. So you're basically taking someone that has not been in our school coming in, and how do they gonna fit in, you know, as far as knowing what procedures and things of that.
They will,
Yeah,
let
that's
me
more
speak to
good.
that.
Yes.
Yes, I do the training piece for our current subs. So, in talking with them, they do provide training, and sort of like how they'll take our current, what we pay them and do, I will submit to them the kind of topics I go over at training. I've looked at their menu and it's basically the same thing. If there's anything local to us though, like our safety procedures or anything like that, that we would want to add, we'll have the ability to do that.
And then again, if a principal has a problem with any, you know, all they have to do is let us know and it's out.
So this, Kelly Services, they have just a specific, I know it says Kelly Education, but I know Kelly Services provide a lot of different services to different corporations because we used to use them
Sure.
extensively. So they want, the people that work in Kelly Education would be specifically for education, or would they be crossover?
Well, if they meet our qualifications that we specify, then, and go through the training, they would be eligible, but they have to meet those two criteria. It's just like if you worked for Kelly's, but then walked in and wanted to be a sub, you'd still have to meet our criteria, you'd still have to go through our training, and you could do both. Same thing here.
I think this is a separate branch of what I think you're speaking of.
Right.
They have another sector where people can do corporate kind of things.
Right.
I think this is a different branch that they commit to just doing that. And we set our criteria for that. So we only take people that have college degrees or teaching certificates. So that disqualifies a lot of people
Right, okay.
from doing that for us.
So if an employee wakes up in the morning sick, do they just straight call Kelly Services?
There's an app and a piece of software. We currently have something like that teachers go into and
Right.
post their need, and it'll be the same thing, it's just a different piece of software that Kelly has.
Okay.
There's some training for teacher login. Yeah, that'll be the next step. The teachers will be trained to log in and get their subs. Any other questions for Mr. Parker? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're super excited about kindergarten, first, second, and third grade test results. And our upper grade test results are not in yet, but we had a fall, winter, and spring Ames Web testing program for K through 3. And those results are in. We're trying to get those on the big screen as well. And Dr. Berry is here to report those test results. And this is what our school plans look like during the pandemic. So we get to see how our students did and compare them nationally. And to me, it's pretty exciting. So I'll let you take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Neal. And also, I'm going to kind of intro this, but then I have Kelly McGee with us here tonight too. She is our lead district literacy specialist. And like Dr. Neal said, trying to get right there, I can see too. We're very excited about the test results. Given the year that we've had, what we're looking at is Ames Web, and it's a screener that's been basically, there's a few screeners that are recommended by the Literacy Task Force from the state, and this is one of them. And like Dr. Neal mentioned, it's administered in the fall, the winter, and the spring. And so I want to give just kind of an overview, and then I'll ask Kelly to join for some specifics. But we couldn't be more pleased about this data. I mean, as soon as we received it, I was in there with Dr. Neal saying, I mean, look at this. And so before I even say anything, I just want to talk about how much I appreciate our teachers. Because, oh my gosh, y'all, the work from our teachers. Not to mention our principals, to support the teachers. And of course, Kelly and Jenny leading the charge, so to speak, as far as we had a testing team that we assembled because we really wanted to make sure that our data was reliable and valid. And so just everybody working together, and parents, of course, so it's just a team effort, but we couldn't be more pleased. So I'm just gonna give kind of a quick overview and to tell you that what you're kind of looking at. We call these the Christmas trees. That's not a very technical term, but that's just what it reminds me of. And what you want to see is basically what we're looking at right here. So you have fall to spring, and you want to see more green than anything else. And so green is referred to tier 1 instruction. And that's basically just general classroom instruction, just run-of-the-mill whole class group instruction. And then you look at the yellow, and that's where you start to get into more strategic interventions. You know, where it might be for us, it's a tier 2, we call it tier 2, it could be a Sunday system, it could be a multitude of things. And then of course the red section, that's gonna be more intensive interventions. And so we're just so pleased at the growth. And this would be from our kindergarten kiddos, you know, and we don't always know what those circumstances are. When we look at the first grade in just a minute, I'm so pleased with it across the board, and I know Kelly is too, and we're gonna let her talk in just a minute. But you know, not knowing what those experiences are and thinking about last year when school basically shut down for a month and a half. You know, where were those kiddos? Were they in a preschool environment where they were learning? I don't know. Maybe they didn't have any preschool at all. So just the work that our teachers were able to do throughout the course of the year. So the latter part of the screen, or the bottom of that, would be the national average. And I just thought this was so telling because, you know, oftentimes we don't always have really great data when it comes to a national average, and you can see that we were above the national average, and then the winter test we were kind of right there, and then at the very end we were above the national average, and I can say that across the board. So we're just so excited. So Kelly, I'll let you jump in and talk a little bit about the K scores.
Yes, thrilled over K-3 scores. Could not ask for such work from our teachers and of course from our parents and our students. They have really put in the work. If you just look at that first tier there very quickly, of course the green is what we want to see, like Dr. Berry said, and those are the kids that have a low risk of not meeting grade level benchmarks, okay? So you can see here in the fall, we had about 62% of our students. Well, now in the spring, we have 72% of our students who are projected to meet those end of the year benchmarks. And these were the categories that they were tested on. And this testing team, which consisted of myself and Ms. Peters and Ms. Bramlett, and we were also luckily able to hire some retired teachers to help us in January and again just recently in the spring. We tested on auditory vocabulary, letter naming, letter word sound fluency, nonsense word fluency, phoneme segmentation, and word reading fluency. And I will say that all of these are mandated by the Alabama Literacy Act. So when I was on the literacy task force at the State Department, and we chose AIMS 12 Plus as being the #1 best screener for our students because it showed the reading foundations for students. And so we knew if we got this assessment, then we would be able to look at those deficiencies and get the kids where they needed to be. And so, like Dr. Berry said, look at that growth at the bottom. You know, it just gives me chills because we were, you know, of course, our kids came in ahead of the national norming group in the fall, but in the winter, we were neck to neck. We were right there together. But with our excellent principals, you know, they looked at that data in January and they said, okay, teachers, what can we do about this? And so our teachers, they excelled and our kids did great on that as well.
Can you go to the next one? First grade. This is really, really impressive. And to me, it just kind of seems, you can see just kind of the trajectory and how we're building. And again, you're looking at similar data, but what I want to say about this one in particular is, you know, they were our K kids last year. They missed a month and a half, almost 2 months of instruction, not to mention summer slide, right? And so for them to be able to come in and, sorry, that's okay, I'll again. I mean, it's just remarkable to me. It's just absolutely remarkable. And you can kind of see where we ended up. And again, you know, we want most of our kids responding to that tier 1 instruction. And if you notice, and Kelly will talk about this too, the categories change up a little bit, but you're still going to see that fluency piece because that's just huge. So Kelly, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, and I have the camera over here. Okay. Yes, basically in K and 1, it is 1-to-1 students. Okay, it takes about 15 minutes per child. So think about the amount of time that takes. And we test pretty much basically the same categories, but at different times throughout the year. So this is what we were tested in the spring. We did auditory vocabulary per the law, of course, nonsense word fluency, oral reading fluency, and word reading fluency. Nonsense word fluency, that follows a CBC pattern. And so basically they're just made up words. But if they understand that CBC pattern, then they're going to be able to decode multisyllabic words later on. Oral reading fluency, that's just basically how accurate you read and how fluently you read, as well as word reading fluencies. Those are those basic sight words, what we call heart words, things you just have to know by heart. And so what I love about this is the fact that last year in kindergarten, these are our current kindergarten students last year that are in first grade now. When school dismissed in March, guess what? They were just beginning to learn how to blend. They didn't get any of that. And so you can see here, they're definitely progressing. And I'm just thrilled because we have 273 of our first grade students are at low risk of not meeting those end of the year benchmarks. So that's fabulous. And of course, here we are, neck and neck. We're above and shooting for the stars here.
Sorry, hold on. Okay, can you go to the next one? And it just continues to get better and better. And what's really unique about this would be our second grade. You can see the growth, right? And I think what's so intriguing about this one for me in particular is we call this our RS3 group. And we sort of named this group that because they're kind of the first group of students that would be kind of under the Literacy Act. And so depending upon what happened today, I'm not sure if that's pushed out, but this would be our first group that, you know, we need to make sure by the end of third grade that they are well on their way, and they are well on their way, you can see that we have almost 84% of our kiddos, so we're
That's
so
what we like to
proud.
see.
Yeah, so we're so proud of that growth, and again, you know, all the credit in the world to the teachers and the admin and just that whole approach, parents, everybody, it's a team effort. So Kelly, you want to add something?
Well, the one thing that I would say here is that this is the group last year that we were able to give the literacy camp to.
Yeah.
And so we just included our second grade students last year. We were very fortunate to even provide it because a lot of places throughout the state did not even offer the literacy camp, but we did in Trussville City. And I really credit a lot of that for that good foundation for our kids. And, you know, teachers look at this data three times a year, but they saw that these kids where they were, and then they decided, you know, we've got a plan of action. And so they really have increased that. I will say too, the categories kind of changed just a little bit there because at this point in second grade, we're no longer learning to read. We're starting to read to learn, and so we're testing them on oral reading fluency, reading comprehension, and vocabulary. Now, second and third grade, they take the test on a computer with the exception of the oral reading fluency, and the testing team goes and gives that to every single student in second and third grade. So it still has that independent piece to it. And I mean, you know, and look at the growth that you see there. We're just skyrocketing. Very pleased.
Okay, and the last one, Dwayne, this would be our current third grade, and yeah, I think that speaks for itself. So again, just so proud of our kiddos, and just, you know, just the nature of the year. And I think we all across the state, and I know just colleagues in different districts and conversations with Kelly, I mean, everyone was worried a little bit about just the learning loss and you know, how are we going to tackle this, and you can see what we're doing in regards to that. So again, just very proud of everyone, and you know, we're just going to keep moving forward. We have a strong team. We have an excellent concept with this testing team. That's not something that we have to do. We just chose to do it because, again, we want this data to be reliable and valid. If they're the same group of people testing each time, same conditions, you know, the kids get to know the teachers, and it's not just this randomness of, you know, who might be testing. So it just everything just kind of lined up. So very, very proud.
Any indication of how we compare to the state?
I don't know yet, because that's another thing, Kelly can speak to this. Not everyone uses the same screener. So like we've heard, you know, there's an iReady and there's an AimsWeb. And so when we have district meetings with the Alabama Reading Initiative, they'll come in and meet with us, and it's not the same across every district, so it's kind of hard to tell.
But we're doing the national, I think.
But nationally, I
Much
could
better
say
picture anyway,
yes.
gives us a better idea.
Yes, I would say that we're right on up there. I mean, especially based on what we can see nationally.
I'm glad to see that.
But we will be getting our state comparison because the state has asked for us to release basically, Ames Web data to them so that they can compare them by using the Lexile level. And so it'll all be apples to apples at that point. So we're glad of that, regardless of which screener that you use.
You know, I agree, that we, teachers and principals, and it's obvious some of our parents are really good educators in downtown too, and maybe some of that home time we spent reading with kids, and it made a remarkable difference. So just kudos to the whole effort.
I agree with that. You know, one of the things that is part of this whole process, they're called reading improvement plans. So let's say you have a student that needs one of those. Well, we go pretty deep with that. And so we're putting out strategies, how to help them at home. We did that a lot in camp last summer. So to your point, we're so appreciative of that because that means parents are taking that and utilizing that information. So yeah, parents have been awesome in this whole process too.
Very pleased.
So you can see commendable progress for our school year during a pandemic. Congratulations to everybody.
Absolutely.
Christmas trees.
Yeah, Christmas.
We like the green.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
And next up is summer school for those students who need to finish their learning. It's basically called unfinished learning now. So I'll let Dr. Garrett come back up and talk about our high school summer school plans.
Yeah. Okay.
And then,
So we have, do you want to talk a little bit about literacy too, the summer camp for literacy? Sure. Okay, so like Dr. Hill mentioned, students that need those kind of more intensive interventions will have summer literacy camp for them again. We started it, we piloted it last year, which was amazing. Didn't know if we were gonna be able to pull that off or not, but we are. It'll be held in July. And so right now we're in the process of securing teachers to obviously, teach. And our numbers will go up a little bit more just based on the fact that now we have all this testing data. So we want to make sure we're able to provide all those extra supports. And then as far as high school, yeah, we're moving forward with our summer program at the high school. One thing that I'm really proud of that really all schools have kind of taken the initiative, middle school, high school, and all the elementary schools, they've had some version of after-school tutoring or grade recovery or credit recovery, and that's been awesome. It's just really been a great outlet for kids to have an opportunity to kind of do those things that I mentioned, grade recover, credit recover. So we think that that's going to help us in terms of those students, needing to be part of summer school at the high school. But we'll have basically two components. We'll have the credit recovery piece, which is pretty typical. But we also have a little bit of what you would call credit advancement. So we'll have kids that participate in driver's ed, Spanish through Access, or health. So we'll have that component, and that will be starting in June. So our literacy camp is all of July, basically. And summer school at the high school starts in June, and there'll be 2 sessions, morning session and afternoon session. So we're in the process of securing the rest of the teachers for that. But yeah, we're feeling pretty good about that. Like I said, based on everybody just being really proactive, and trying to help these kids along the way so that we didn't just get to the end of the year and say, oh my gosh, we've got all these kids that have to have summer school.
Are we going to adopt any of these strategies for the regular school year, or have we already done so?
Well, yes, we probably will. One of the things we started, for example, just the after-school tutoring piece at each of the elementary schools. Kelly, when did we start that? Like 2 months ago?
February.
Yeah, so even longer than that. So yes, I think those are some really good things that we've seen a lot of benefit of. And Jennifer's here, she can talk about the middle school for that. And I can speak to this just from my former life of being a middle school principal. A lot of times in middle school, it's just, you need that dedicated time for them to get the work done. It sounds kind of great. There's time to get the work done. So that's been beneficial at the middle school. So yes, to answer your question, I would love to kind of have some of these processes in place as we move forward. We've seen a lot of benefit from that. I don't know if Jennifer or Ms. Rinton want to speak to that, but.
Sure, I can just say that it's been a huge help for a lot of our students that were really struggling. It wasn't a matter of not understanding the content. It was, I just need you to have some time to do the work. And so we started off with a large number of students attending every 3 weeks. It's diminished to less than 10. So it's It's been great. Even, the teachers have said, hey, can we do something like this next year? I mean, they see the benefit of this too, so we're exploring what that could look like.
You might need to tell some of the parents of middle schoolers about that option so that we can push that.
Well, these were for our kiddos, they were invited.
Okay.
They were really struggling, you know what I mean?
Well, as I look to die now this week and saw quite a number of complaints on things. It just,
Some
yes, there's
opportunities.
lots of opportunity for growth.
We could get a special invite if we needed to.
Yeah.
But
I
you
think
know,
we're all caught up now, but.
Good.
I'll say that too, and it goes back to, it really is just about our teachers again and their growth mindset and just having this notion of it's about the learning, you know, and they just want the kids to do the work, it's about the learning. And so it just goes back to the teacher's attitude and efforts, and it just makes a world of difference. And that's just the kind of caring individuals that we have in this district. They just want kids to do well. And it's everybody pulling together and saying, hey, look, let's think outside the box, how can we get this done? So it's good stuff.
The word growth mindset. That should be the
Well,
mantra.
And I will say with my own experience that writing a couple of teachers and saying, hey, we found us an assignment from March 19th that we haven't done yet. Are we too late? And they were both, on both occasions, they said, absolutely, just let me know when it's done so I'll know to go and grade it. But it's working on this very well.
It's awesome. It's good stuff.
Is the summer class, are the summer classes, are they online or are they in person at the high school?
So,
I mean, obviously drivers have to be.
yeah, so they're gonna be in person, so we'll have some live teaching in the area of math in particular. Now, if it's a situation of like a health or that's through access, so that's a virtual situation, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, we have Mr. Davis to talk to us about our facilities update.
Well, I'll start with the boring part first. The contracts for the tennis court are at the state, so we're awaiting their return. As soon as we get all those back, we will be able to have a pre-construction meeting with the state, and we'll get that project started. Everybody knows that goes behind the middle school. So we're waiting on that. Should be, I would anticipate, within the next couple of weeks. So, and if you've driven down Highway 11,
Yes.
we actually have a building frame. Bones are going up. He told us they would have all the bar joists set today for the roof on the second floor. So that is progressing really nice. Take them a couple of weeks to finish tightening everything, getting it all squared up and all that. But all the metal studs and the lightweight roof will start within the next, as soon as they get through the schedule sets for it to just go right in sequence. Electrician will be back in there next week working on some of the stuff on the second floor. So it's going really well. Really busy getting ready for the summer. We've sent emails to all the principals about our annual summer strip and wax that we do. So I know they're excited. Lots to do. So everything's going good though.
As of right now, all the supplies and material have come in on time, and there's no.
As of right this second.
As of this month, yeah.
We had a pre-roofing conference last week, and the central office is in good shape because of the bid process and how far we were. But the roofer actually told us that they are now 12 to 14 weeks. Fasteners are 16 to 20 weeks. So, and you're seeing it industry-wide. It's just starting to drag industry-wide. Concrete's real hard to get now, which is mind-blowing to me. But, you got to set a pour up way in advance to do that. So, but I'm happy with the progression that we've got going on. Everything's clicking right now. We just don't need a hiccup. So.
Well, I want you to remain standing, and I want Brian Ferris to stand up next to you because we're passing the torch. I'm pleased to announce tonight the board will be voting on Brian Ferris being the new facilities coordinator to take Barry's place as he retires June 30th. So Brian, I want you to say a few words, and we want to welcome you.
I'm excited about this opportunity. I don't want to be the hiccup. We have a lot of nice facilities, and I'm looking forward to taking the torch and progressing. Appreciate the opportunity.
He's been in Trussville City Schools since we began, and he knows every facility backward and forward, and every cutoff valve, every switch box.
It helps.
You're on the personnel agenda for tonight.
Thank you.
I don't know when to make that announcement. So. We'll miss you, Barry. We'll have a party.
It's all good.
Join me in welcoming Brian.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a 4-minute break, right?
Yeah, 4 minutes. Stand up and stretch. course not. We're a hard group to get back in order for 4-minute break, so. Like to call this May meeting to order and thank everybody for being here. And in honor of Stan's last night, I asked him to do the prayer and the pledge. So if everyone will please stand.
Bow, please. Oh, merciful Father, Lord, we just come right now, just thanking you for your presence in our lives. We thank you, Lord, for blessing this community. Thank you, Lord, for blessing the school system. Oh, merciful Father, we come right now just lifting everyone up to you, Lord. Lifting you up, lifting them up as we lift you up, Lord. Merciful Father, we just pray for students. We pray for our teachers, our principals, the entire staff, and all of the Trussville school system. We thank you, Lord, for all your blessings that you bestowed upon us. And we ask, Lord, that everything that we do here tonight be pleasing to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Sandra, if you'll call roll, please.
Kathy Brown.
Here.
Steve Ward.
Here.
Stan Garrett.
Present.
Kim DeShazo.
Here.
Mark Sims.
Here.
Thank you, Sandra. I'd like to welcome everybody that's here tonight. I know you're not here for me. I think we're all here for Stan, but thank y'all for being here. And now it's time to adopt our agenda. So do I have a motion that we adopt our agenda for tonight?
Make a motion.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Now we'd like to hear from our city council liaison, Ms. Lisa Bright. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. We got a full house tonight, and we have the mayor here and council president Taylor, so I better not screw it up. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to be here, and so excited for Stan and his next move and honoring him after the board meeting. As far as the city update goes, the mayor was actually on unscripted today, so if you didn't get to hear it, I'll update what was discussed then. If you voted in November, you realized quickly that we need a few more places to go and vote. So the mayor, along with Commissioner Joe Knight, were able to work out a plan where we will have 2 new additional voting places. So one will be at the Civic Center and the other will be at Faith Community Church. So that will allow us to have 5 polling places and will relieve City Hall from a lot of their congestion. So there will be new routing districts formed, and you will get notification on where you will be voting for the next election. Also, we've got some new updates at the Kmart Center, shopping center. We've got some new places coming in, so that's gonna kind of revamp that area that's been a little blight the past few years. So that's exciting to be able to get them in. And as far as a public works notice on Memorial Day, everybody kind of wonders, will I get my garbage picked up on Memorial Day? So you will not, but it will flow to the next day. So if you're a Monday pickup, your day will be Tuesday. So outside of that, that's all that I have from a city report, but I did want to honor Stan Garrett with the city pin, a lapel pin, that we just appreciate your service and your dedication to the city for all these years and our wonderful school district. So thank you, Stan.
All right, turn it over to Dr. Neal. We have a lot of recognitions tonight.
I know, this is so exciting. And we have students lined up all the way down the hall, and I'm in a tag team with the high school administrators and our athletics director because it's all about the high school and academies and athletics tonight. So if Mr. Salem and Ms. Young and Lance Walker will come up. I'm going to start with congratulating the Hewitt Trussville High School mountain bike team. They are #1 in the state for their championship race at Tannehill Historic State Park. And I want to turn it over to Mr. Salem and the coaches to say a word about this mountain bike team, and I want them to face the camera, so just turn right around so they can see you on TV. You're now on live stream.
Hello. Well, we're just honored to have this mountain bike team representing us at the state level for the second time. The head coach, Ms. Rhonda Britton.
Third time.
Third time. See, I've been out of the loop. But if you could talk about where this competition, last competition was, and then introduce our seniors.
Am I supposed to read some? No.
Well,
Okay.
I'm not sure who's present.
All right, so I'm Rhonda Britton. I'm the team director and one of the coaches. But with us today, we have Sam Levin, Grayson Davis, Dominic Anderson, and Michael Davis. And 7 years ago, we started the mountain bike team, and Grayson was actually a sixth grader at the time. And so for the past 7 years, we've been racing. And this year, we were cut one race short because of the Oak Mountain tornado. But the championship race was at Tannehill State Park, which is it's one of the toughest courses because of the technicality and just the hills, basically. So at Tannehill, there's probably about 30-something teams that compete, and we accrue points for each race that we do. And so at the end of the season, we had the most points by a pretty significant margin.
Would you introduce the assistant coaches?
Absolutely. Okay. So I have Kirk Levin, which is actually Sam's father. Walt Britton is our head coach. Frank Davis, who is Grayson's father, and Mary Davis is his wife too. And so it takes, we have about 14 coaches total. And in order for us to actually, pull off going to some of these races, we have to have everybody on board because we actually do ride the trails with them. It's a little different. We don't just say, go ride around the track and we'll see you in 2 hours. We actually have, people on site and racing on the course or riding on the course with them. So luckily we have some facilities near the high school that we think build champions, and it gets us a little bit of trail time and also, gets our cardio and our fitness in.
Well, I appreciate Ms. Britton. She not only supervises and coordinates with high school, but she takes on the middle school as well.
Yeah, we have 55 riders total between the middle and high school, and the middle school league, they really don't do like a team scoring, but they do recognize 8th grade, and we did have the 8th grade state champion, so to speak, who was Dalton King.
Congratulations.
We're gonna send y'all out the back door so you don't have to go back to the crowd.
Thanks you guys for having us. Thank you.
I would invite Lance Walker up as we recognize and say congratulations to HTHS outdoor track and field boys and girls team. Came in second in the 7A, second in the state. So I'll turn it over to you.
Wow, he's always here.
Very honored.
We're proud to honor our boys and girls outdoor teams tonight. The outdoor state championship really capped an outstanding year for cross country and for track and field. Our cross country teams finished 3rd and 4th at state. Our indoor track and field teams, both boys and girls, won the state championship, and then outdoor boys and girls were the 7A runner-up. So just really proud of all of our coaches and especially our athletes for working hard and representing our school so well. I had a chance to be down in Gulf Shores at the state meet a couple of weeks ago. And, really what I took from it is just, we have great kids. Just everything that they do around the meet, not necessarily competing, but just in the hotel lobby, at the restaurants, how they support each other. We're just really fortunate to have great kids. And you guys had a great year. Just want to congratulate you. This is our head coach, Tom Esslinger. We're thrilled to have him in Trussville. He and the other coaches, our assistant coaches, done an outstanding job this year. So turn it over to you, Coach.
Well, first of all, just thank you guys for having us. I mean, none of this would be possible without really the support we have from the very top, Dr. Neal on the Board of Education, and then people like Lance every step of the way. So we're just so grateful for all of that support and support of the community, and it just allows us to be successful, I feel like. I do want to just briefly introduce everybody real quick, and look, all of these athletes have earned all state honors, Most of them are seniors. We got a couple of juniors here. Ethan Womack is a junior. Amelia Brady, the senior. Jayla Loving's a senior. Sydney White, senior. Tanvir Raza is a junior. And then Nathan Knox. And then we have Coach Howell and Coach Dobbs, the legend, and Coach Kirby. And you know, just a quick note about state. Like, obviously, look, we wanted to win them both. We thought we had a chance to win them both. And I really want to echo what Lan said. We were talking about at lunch today of, you know, even though we didn't win, and look, the boys had a great meet. It was just Vestavia was a little bit better. It's not like we messed up or anything like that. They just had an incredible meet. We had a really good meet. And then on the girls, we really probably shouldn't even been as close as we were. We were a half a point down going into the 4x4, but we had used a lot of people on individual events, and so they beat us on the 4x4. But just to be in the mix says a lot about the kids. But what I was going to say is just the way that they went around to all the events and supported each other. By far, we had the most people cheering each other on, and I just felt like we carried ourselves with class, and that's always the most important thing, obviously. You know, and that's where I feel like this group is not only athletically special, but also just they're just great people with strong character, been raised right, and that says a lot about the community. So again, we're just thankful. Thank you guys, and we appreciate you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm pleased to invite Joy Young and Chef Paul and Ford as we congratulate the NASA Lunch Culinary Challenge students. Congratulations. I'll turn it over to you guys.
We're really proud of our culinary team, and there are actually 5 students on the team. We've got these 2 representing us tonight, and Anna, you want to tell them what they did and what they won?
Sure. Well, first we competed in a statewide competition, and we won that, of course, like we do every year. But this was the first. I'm a little off my game. I have a really bad cold. I'm sorry. We went on to compete at nationals, and it was a little different this year because of COVID. So we kind of did a little virtual competition. But it was really cool because they cooked their dish, which was supposed to be a spin on healthy comfort food. It has to be healthy for the astronauts. So they had to do some research into the science of packaging food for space. They had to do some research into nutrition. Then they came up with a braised short rib dish. It was braised in stout beer, and it was over cauliflower mashed potatoes. And then they won 3rd place in the nation. So they each received $20,000 scholarships to Sullivan University.
Thank you.
Good job.
Next, we have Future Business Leaders of America winners at the state level. And that's one of our academies. Mr. William stays up here. He's got his trophy. Congratulations.
We're so proud of our FBLA state winners. And that's sports and entertainment management. So y'all kind of lift your hand if I call your name. Stuart Dixon, Wiley Fields, Lennon Shot, 1st place. And then 3rd place, Will Bishop, Colin Sims, and Ethan Wilson. That was also in sports and entertainment management. And then 4th, we got 4th in that, Robert Morrow, Andrew Sheldon, and Steph Hall. Congratulations. 3D animation, Leah Townsend won 1st place. Impromptu speaking, 2nd place, Layton Lambert. Publication design, 2nd place, Mary Reeves. Business plan challenge, 5th place, and that's Barrett Willingham. Where's Barrett? Here? He didn't make it. Okay. And the instructors are here, and that's Julie Rowland on that end and April Chapel on this end. We're so proud of our future business leaders in America. They did great this year. Thank you.
We have state winners in our electrical construction wiring academy. George Logan to join us up front with his students. Come on up. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Come on, guys, don't stand with your coat.
Get fired up.
Our big live stream. So that's the camera.
Yes. So, these are, the state winners for Skills USA, in the electrical construction wiring competition. It was a long, grueling competition with a written portion and a performance portion. It lasted several hours.
7 to 8, yes.
It was a long time. And these guys, so we have first place winner in the state is Luke Golden. And then Jacob McManus got second place. So we just swept it all. And we are so proud of George Logan and the work he's done with his students, and we're proud of you guys for
Great job.
Thank you.
Next is our engineering academy state competition winners, Jason Dooley and Tim Melton should be here with the students. She'll make those introductions.
a lot of folks. Let's put them all together. Are the regional science and engineering fair winners coming in too? Y'all come on in and make 2 rows. Just everybody come in and make 2 rows. All right, all of these students are representative of our engineering academy at the high school, and the instructors here is Jason Dooley. And so the first is, these are TSA state competition winners. And so students, if I call your name, just raise your hand. Architectural computer aided design, first place, Kenny Wynn, is it Wynn? Saying that right? Great. Second place, Reagan Felt. 3D computer aided engineering design, we got first place in that, Sam Lovin. Children's story, second place, Kenny Wynn, David Davis and Luke Chamberlain. Extemporaneous presentation, we got first place, Zach Butterworth. Coding, we got first place, Justin Upchurch and Morgan Dotson. Forensic science, we got first place, Madison Morris and Fran Mann. Digital video production, first place, Will Diggs, Haley Page, and Ryan McGuire. Architectural design and modeling, first place, Madison Morris and Fran Mann. Second place, Ken Gwynn, Tyler Baker, Carter Parker. Third place, Garrett Glass and Skylar Robinson. Photographic technology, second place, Sam Levin. Technology Bowl, second place, Madison Morris, Fran Mann, and Laura Phillips. Webmaster, third place, Kellen Rutherford, Noah Renda, and Jacob Jones. Prepared speech, fifth place, Zach Butterworth. Essays on technology, fifth place, Kenny Wynn. Biotechnology design, first place, David Davis, Luke Chamberlain. Engineering design, fifth place, Caleb Hickman and Dandrill Johnson. State pen design, first place, Sam Levin. And that we were the overall across the state of Alabama, we were the second place winner for the TSA competition statewide. So we're really proud. By 4 points. So that is amazing. And then a group of our engineering students, seniors, competed in the Central Alabama Regional Science and Engineering Fair and the State Engineering Fair too.
Yes,
right?
these are all.
Tell them about what they do.
Yeah, we had 10 teams compete in the Central Alabama UAV Science Fair. It was virtual this year. We had to do it by Zoom, which was kind of awkward, but we did a good job. And 5 out of 10 teams got progressed to the Alabama State Science Fair, which is incredible. We've never had 5 teams go there before. So they did an outstanding job this year with the projects and stuff. So the ones that are getting honored tonight, these are all the ones that competed at state.
And you wanna,
Can you do it?
yeah, why don't you do that?
Come on, then.
You can do it.
All right, first up, Eli Muncher and Drew McDowell. So where y'all at? Y'all come forward. So this group, they did a brake light notification system. So if you can't tell if your reverse light's out or your brake light's out or your tail light's out, they can do that for you. So they did so good that they got to advance all the way to the International Science Fair, which is going on right now. So unfortunately for them, they would be there except it's by Zoom. They did an outstanding job. So they got first place in their category, UAB, and they got to go to International Science Fair. Very good. Good job. So they got first place in their category UAB for psychology. We've never done a psychology project before. So they want to do early detection of ADHD. So they made a game that the kids play and it'll kind of say, hey, they got a tendency there. So it'll notify the teachers, let them know. So really good job. And they got first place in the state in their category also. So they didn't Ryan, represent your team. So Ryan's team and Will and Haley, which are not here, they made a fireman's helmet that can read the temperature in the room. So from a fireman, they said the first thing they have that tells them they're in a place that's too hot is their face mask starts to melt. So they invented a little temperature sensor that goes on the helmet with a digital readout on the screen that tells the fireman if it's too hot in the room. So outstanding job, they got first place. My next team's not here, Jacob, Noah, and Kellen, but they did a really good job. They did a system that you put into a car that alerts you if a police siren or a car horn or a fire truck is approaching you. So they have a friend that's deaf, and he said that's the most difficult thing when you're driving a car is he can't hear that stuff going on. So they did a really good job. Now, Reagan and Kaylee, last up, come on. All right. So super proud of this group. So you want to tell them about y'all's invention? Y'all tell them. Be more, yeah, be better for me.
Okay, so we created a dog leash that tells you how hot the pavement is, and on the dog leash, it tells you the temperature and reads you, and we have 3 lights, like green, yellow, and red. Green obviously meaning it's good to walk your dog. Yellow warning you that it's kind of getting warm, get on the grass, and then red meaning that it's too hot to prevent blistering on the dog's paws.
Yeah. So they got third place at UAB, and they competed in the state science fair, but we entered them in another competition we've never entered before, and it's nationwide. And they got top 3 in the country for their invention, and they get it presented on Wednesday. So they're not through yet. They still got to do one more presentation. So wish them luck, though. That's a huge deal for our school. That's it.
Thank y'all.
Did you get a picture of it? Good job.
Okay, these are our Biomedical Science Academy representatives. They competed in the state PASA competition, and we have 2 winners here tonight. Michael Davis placed 4th in epidemiology and qualified for the International Leadership Conference. And Matt, your name again. And Kodiak placed 3rd place in EMT. And one of the instructors is here with them, Jamie Curley. So we're really proud of these guys as well. Congratulations.
Thank you all. I love it when the students get to come back and we get to see all the recognitions at our board meeting. It makes it great.
On the consent agenda, I recommend the board approve the consent agenda items A through W as listed.
Do I have a motion to approve items A through W as listed? Second? Second. All in favor? Opposed?
Under personnel, I recommend the board approve my recommendations for changes in personnel, contracts, and supplements as listed.
Okay, board, do I have a motion to approve superintendent's recommendations for personnel, contracts, and supplements? Second.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay.
Next, we have a certificate of affirmation for school board member Sherry Tolbert. She has accepted her appointment. And please join me in welcoming Sherry Tolbert to the board.
Once again, thank you, you guys. Thank you all for recommending. I wouldn't even know this. Once again, I'm just like thank you guys, you all for the opportunity again for serving to be part of the Trussville City School Board. And just so excited about being part of the board. And the last 3 months, I have called it my training session, and I'm still in training. There's a lot to learn, and I'm looking for a challenge.
Thank you, Sherry. Now it's time, in accordance with our past practice of the board for election of officers, I will ask our council and member to call for nominations for the offices of president, vice president, and the vote to elect president and vice president.
Okay, nominations are now in order for the office of president. Kathy Brown is nominated. Are there any further nominations for the office of president? There being no further nominations, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor of Kathy Brown to serve as president of the board, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone who's opposed, say no.
I'll abstain.
Okay, so we have, the ayes have it. 3 ayes and 1 abstention. And Kathy Brown is elected president.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. So nominations are now in order for the office of vice president.
I'll nominate Steve Ward.
Okay, so Steve Ward is nominated. Are there any other nominees? So there being no further nominees, all in favor of Steve Ward for vice president, say yes. Yes. Any opposed, say no. Abstain. So the yeses have it, and Steve Ward is elected vice president. So now, as a formality, we must appoint our superintendent to serve as secretary of the board. I have a motion to appoint Dr. Neal as secretary of the board.
Motion.
I have a motion from Steve Ward. Do I have a second? Second. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Dr. Neal will serve as secretary of the board by unanimous vote. That's the conclusion of the election.
It's time to do our last recognition of the evening, and that is to honor Stan Garrett for 16 years of service on the school board. I want to welcome everyone to the celebration. I know you all are here to join me in celebrating Stan. He was appointed to the school board in 2005. And he spent 16 years of his life in service to Trussville City Schools, and we appreciate him so much. Stan has been our voice of reason, our pillar of composure, and a source of wisdom in all situations. He's been an outstanding board member, and his kind and open heart allowed us to form bonds of friendship that will last a lifetime. Stan's legacy is priceless, but we will honor you the best we can tonight with gratitude and gifts and refreshments and kind words. So here are a few highlights of Stan's tenure on the Board of Education. Most importantly, both of his children graduated from Trussville High School while he was on this Board of Education. Those are monumental moments in the life of a parent. He served with 6 different board presidents and 2 different superintendents. He served with 2 mayors in the city of Trussville. And he served as vice president to this board for a total of 7 years. Stan was on the board for all of our renovation and building and construction projects. So anything that happened from our inception as a school system up until today, Stan was part of that. He was also here for Trussville High School to be named the Blue Ribbon School. He's here to watch Trussville City Schools consistently rank in the top 10 on the state academic report card. He's been here to watch Trussville City Schools athletics grow to a #1 ranking as best high school for sports by Mitch. He has seen us compete at the state championship level in football, track, baseball, softball, and girls basketball. He has seen our transportation department receive regular outstanding bus inspections by the State Department. He has seen 2 state-level Attorney General Safe School Awards in 2016 at the high school and 2018 at the middle school. Our Special Olympics program was named Outstanding Special Olympics Program in 2018, and we regularly receive the National Association of Music Merchants Award as a great community for music education. He has seen us audit our needs for students and hire a social worker for the first time in Trussville City Schools to pass 1 tax renewal and 1 tax referendum, and he has seen us maintain our system accreditation. Stan has been an integral part of every step of our progress along the way, and we thank you for it. I have messages from a few of our past board members and 1 past city councilor, and I'd like to read their messages. From Dennis Hill, he says, "You were a great board member, Stan, and you had the children at the heart of every decision that you made." From Gail Glenn, Gail's message is, "It was a great experience to work with Stan through the Board of Education. He studied all angles of the situation in a level-headed, fair manner. He is a great friend to the Trussville City School Board." And a message from Danny Garrett. "Stan Garrett has served the students, parents, teachers, and administrators who have been a part of the Trussville City School System with dignity and diligence, and every decision he has made is always with the best interest of students in his heart and mind. Stan has been a calming voice of reason when the board had to make difficult decisions. In all my years of knowing Stan, I've never heard anyone say anything negative about him. He has earned and maintained the respect of his fellow board members and has been instrumental in much of the successes that TCS has achieved. I'm honored to have had the opportunity to serve with him and especially grateful to call him my friend." From Jeff Freeman, a former city councilor, he says, "Thank you so much for your 16 years of service." So our gifts tonight include happy socks, colorful happy socks that we know you will enjoy, a series of pictures of the many school board members that have served with you in the past, your nameplate, you may take that home with you, a poster in the back goes home with you, and we also plan to name one of the rooms at the new central office in your honor. So we want you to come back and join us in a year for the dedication of that room that will be named after you. In the meantime, please accept these gifts along with my heartfelt thanks for your service to Trussville City Schools. Please come forward as I turn over the floor to other people as well. Come get your happy socks. I want him to stay here while we open the floor to those of you who have come to speak about Stan. We have past presidents of the Board of Education. The floor is open to our school board members that are sitting members at this time. And I don't know who wants to go first, but I'm going to stand with Stan to.
I'm gonna grab a Kleenex because I'm the weaker, but I'll go first. Stan, I came on this board 6.5 years ago, and you were the only person I didn't know. It was me, Sid, Gail, Bill, and it didn't take me long to figure out that you were the E.F. Hutton of the school board. And for those of us old enough to remember that commercial, when E.F. Hutton speaks, we all listen, and that's the way it was when Stan spoke. Stan, I have to read my notes because I'm terrible shooting from the hip when I'm weepy. He has this quiet authority about him, and when he speaks, it's very intentional, thoughtful, and wise. And I mean that in the most complimentary way. You have this ability to cut through all the weeds and the background noise and show us a clear path. The two things I want to share that you have said that have most influenced me are we have never, number one, we have never made a decision based on politics. We make our decisions based on what's best for the school system. The second thing you said to me is we're here to educate the students. Those two things speak volumes about who you are as a person and the wisdom that you have as a leader. I will miss you terribly. I'll miss your peaceful presence, your dry wit, mostly aimed at me, and the calming influence that you have on the rest of us. And I want to leave you with Matthew 25:21. Well done, you good and faithful servant. Thank you for serving.
Bill and Kathy, what they said is, I can't emphasize it. I appreciate what you've done. I appreciate what you do. It's been an honor to serve with you. I look out at the school system and what it's accomplished, and it all comes back to your leadership and your wisdom. And as we all strive to be better school board members, I think, and I do feel, especially I look to you as my role model. I always felt that way, and that you would do so and always will. Stan, I'm gonna miss you, buddy. It's good to have you with us, and we wish you the best. You.
I think they said exactly what I was going to say, just what I talked to Dr. Ward a minute ago about saying I got to come up with how I'm going to articulate my thoughts about Stan. And one of the things that I have said is that you don't say you're not as vocal, I guess, as some of the rest of us. I know I use 50 words when 3 would do a lot of times. But when you say something, I really want to hear it. And I think that speaks to your character. It speaks to who you are as a person and the message that you want us to convey, which is, like Kathy said, it's just we're here for these kids and what's best for them and what's best for our school system as a whole. And so I will miss my buddy next to me because a lot of times yours is the voice that I want to hear, because we all come in and like I said, I'm probably the chattiest of all of us, but I oftentimes find myself wanting to come over and get next to you and say, okay, what do you think? What do you think we ought to do? So because I value your opinion and we'll miss it greatly. But thank you for all that you've done for the school system. Thank you for welcoming me on your last year and making us a better school system for having you.
Stan, I could not add more to all the great things they said, and I'll just go more shallow. Is that okay? Is the mayor, who's for a little bit, you can tell that Stan is timeless. He's been here a long time, but he actually just continues to be a good-looking guy. I mean, let's just be honest about this. And so the first year I was on the school board, I was coming out of Sam's one night with my wife and 2 daughters. We were in to stand in the parking lot. We talked a while. He's gracious and just engaging. And as we walked away, they all three said, he is one good-looking man. Kudos to you, your crazy socks. You're just amazing. Please stay away from my wife.
We're coming out into the audience. I do have a quote from Sid McNeil, but he's also here tonight. So if you don't mind, Sid, I'm going to kind of call on you. You want me to read the quote, or do you want to go next?
No, the quote's really nice, and I don't particularly want to say anything particularly nice to Stan tonight. He can read the nice quote later. I would sort of echo what Mark was saying. And one of the things that the quote gets into is the fact that there aren't a lot of perks other than the name tag you get to take home with you for public service. But one of the big perks is friendship. And as Kathy pointed out, you and I have become friends thanks to our service on the school board. And it's been great to be your friend, and I look forward to continuing to be your friend for many years to come. Over the course of all these years, you know, we've experienced a lot together, some tragedy and some wonderful moments as well. I remember when we used to make you laugh and encourage you to smile, and your face wasn't taking any messages at that time, and it was just a complete blank, and we were wondering if you were going to be okay, and you came through that with flying colors. And was here when you retired from your longtime position and moved into other endeavors. And you know, it's just been great to sort of live life together with you for the 9 years we were together, and certainly wish you all the best in your next endeavors.
Thank you.
Our longest standing board president is here. I can't wait to hear what Mr. Rock has to say.
I'm not gonna say all those nice things that y'all talking about. You know, today I've been up at my farm working, and I've been thinking about Stan pretty much all day. But I sat back there and thought, I have been in more than 1,000 meetings with Stan Garrett. You cannot understand and respect Stan for what he's meant to the school board unless you've been in the trenches with him. I've been in the trenches with him. And I won't repeat the stuff that y'all said. Y'all know him, you see him do it, but I've been there with Stan. No one except Donald Sweeney or Sandra Vernon has been in more meetings with Stan than I have. We've gone through some great times. Most of them have been great. We went through some tough times. I had Stan Garrett sitting by my side. You know, when we built these new elementary schools, that was a fine thing. We were all excited about building them, and when we went to the community school system, which was great under Dr. Bill's leadership. But we had to get the federal government to approve us building and moving into three schools. Stan Garrett was sitting by my side. There were some folks in that room that had high price suits. You remember that thing? High price suits. And Stan was right there by my side. And I guess I was president. Stan was vice president at that time. And that was a big accomplishment for our school and all the things that happened. But Stan is not a person that has to hear himself talk. Kathy's talked about it, others. Stan is quiet, but he's very deep. Lord, I can tell you story after story about it. In all those years, we didn't agree on everything, but we never disagreeable. I told Stan time to do it. It's all right to be wrong with it. We didn't disagree. But I can honestly say, Stan, I thought about today, in all those years, I never remember us having any kind of argument. I remember an occasion or two where we had agreed on something, and then something, Stan called me back aside and said, no, I'm not totally comfortable with that. Whatever it was, wasn't a big deal. But he's the kind of person, he told you to do something, you do it, or he would tell you to not that person. Let me round a little too much, but this Stan been here a long time. I got to thinking, why are you? Now, see us back there, some others, I've been dear friends with, and one of the benefits of this 10 years is the friends I've made, y'all know. But I had no better friend on the board than Stan. And I got to think, well, why are you? I got to think. Let me tell you the thing that's common to me and Stan, and you might say what a friendship is. We both came from a pretty humble beginning. We both drove the school bus when we was 11th and 12th grade in high school. We both love Jacksonville State and support Jacksonville State. We both married way over there. We both worked in the same company our entire career. We both retired early. We both enjoyed some success. Neither one of us forgot where we came from. used to come in and I sneeze up there. And I got to thinking, no wonder y'all good friends. You got so much in common. Stand the friendship that I've had with you, working with you. And tonight, you see, all that stuff, we have built that. You have built it. All these kids who got more brains than you had. They don't want a fourth grade than you do in the past. But we have built it. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of your friendship. And I'm gonna tell another thing. One thing, the last thing I did as school board member, you know what the last thing I did? Nominated Kathy Brown for president of the school board. That's the last thing I did. You know what Stan did? The last thing he did in the school board, nominated Kathy Brown. That's incredible. Now, another thing, I had a lady replace me on the school board. You had a lady replace me on the school board. There wasn't different. She's gonna do great. Kim replaced me. Alan and somebody said the bar is real low, so you don't have to do much work. I'm gonna say you, the bar is not low with you. The bar is not. Let me tell you something. There's not a person in this room that will see you do good more than Stan Garrett. He'll help you. He'll be here. Stan, you've done a great job for the school. We both share the love of this city and this student system. You're going to stay with me. We're going to, after you retire, you still got to be working for the city, working for the school, all pays the same. But like you've done a good thing. All right, there.
Thank you for inviting me to come back and be part of this wonderful family. I was so flattered. I've enjoyed retirement, but I really miss seeing the kind of excitement that goes on at this meeting, and I'm envious of my partner and younger for having the luxury of being part of this. But I think this is an opportunity tonight to cherish and highlight two values. One of the values is embodied by the mayor, the city council people, Lisa, and what they began this system doing. And that was to pick members of the board that had only one agenda. And that agenda was to be a team player to advance the mission statement of this new system to be the best system in this state. This city council did that when they selected Stan Garrett. They set the foundation for that. But I think we would be remiss in not emphasizing how much we owe to the mayor and city council for establishing that tradition. And then to honor Stan, we honor a person that came to the board with a profound respect for education, for what it did for him, and for the educators that supported him, encouraged him, and it was that profound feeling for the mission and what could be accomplished by the system that enabled him to have the deep respect of all of the board members. As Bill says, the thousands of controversies that went on, we always knew that Stan Garrett, after being an earnest listener, was going to come forward not with a personal agenda, even though we knew that there were people in the community that were trying to pressure Stan for an agenda that was not necessarily the agenda for the whole system. He was a team player to find a way to build consensus, to listen to everybody with utmost sincerity, evaluate everything that was going on, and try to help the board reach deeply to enhance the mission of the school system.
I brought a friendship cake for Stan. It marinates 30 days, but the 16 years represent an awful lot. And I'm so glad to be here to compliment City Council, to compliment you, and to compliment your fellow board members, all of whom benefited from your team spirit, your respect to each and every one of them, and the ability to encourage a dialogue. Thank you for your wonderful service. Thank you.
Thank you. Stan, I gotta be quick, the ice is starting to run. Listen, on behalf of the city, not just the city, the mayor and council, but for this city, to what you have meant to thousands of families, children, the example that you have set is to be honored and recognized for years to come. My first experience in 2008, I was a liaison here to the school board, as Lisa is now, and had a great school board as we always have. The one thing that was always obvious to me, Stan, was the calmness and the steadiness of you and how you responded. A lot of challenges went on during those first few years, as we know. But one thing that I can say, any school board member now or in the future, if you'll pattern and act like Stan Garrett has done, you'll mean more to this city than you'll ever know. And I know all of you know that. So stand for the city, from the mayor's office to our council, to all the citizens, we say thank you. Thank you.
Last call from the audience.
I'm gonna be real brief. A couple things that was said tonight, I can't add to what's been said, Stan, a couple things that said, Kathy Brown said you were Putt, and she remembers that old commercial. I'm not as old as Kathy, so I don't. For Representative Dan Garrett to say that he don't ever remember hearing anybody saying an ill word about you is incredible. Can you imagine serving on the school board for 16 years and nobody saying that? That's I want to invite you to run for city council. We're gonna really see how this goes. One of my favorite scriptures is, and I'm going to change it a little bit after I read it. I don't tell the pastor. Job said in the first chapter of Job, it says, in the land of Uz, there lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless and upright, he feared God and shunned evil. And I don't think it would be changing a whole lot to say in the land of Trussville, there lived a man whose name was Stan Garrett. This man was blameless, upright, he feared God and he shunned evil. We thank you for what you did. Thank you.
Stan, I have a thank you note for you that you can read later. So that's for you to take home with your happy socks. And this, before I turn the microphone over to you, I just want to say that the time has come for change. And to me, that will be very difficult because we have benefited from your wisdom and your guidance all through the years. It won't be the same without you. It is my hope and prayer that you will somehow stay involved and continue to love us, protect us, and help us as you have for the past 16 years. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to you to say a few words, and then I'm going to ask you to make a motion that we adjourn so we can eat the cake and have refreshments. It's all yours.
All right. I probably don't need the mic. But I would first, I'd just like to thank each and every one of you that made comments. I certainly appreciate all those comments. And it's certainly been my pleasure to serve the school board. And having said that, I had to be appointed to the school board every time. So I appreciate the city council, appreciate the mayor, and also one of the publicly say I appreciate Mayor Melton as well, and all the other people, city council. I just like to say, 16 years ago, when I came on board, I had a head full of hair. I'm not saying you're gonna lose your hair. But I just like to say, you know, we've had, just as Bill said, we've had some really good times here in Trussville in relation to the school system. And we've had some times that weren't so good, but we still kept the students at heart and knew that everything that we did had to be done for the students to get a good education. And I would also like to, I'd be remiss if I didn't, and I won't call out a whole lot of names here, but these names here, I think it's worth calling out. I'd like to also ask us to remember Ned Payne, Orman Bennett, and also John Floyd, that's passed on. But they poured their heart into what we are continuing to see here. And I'd also like to, Dennis Hill, because he was one of the ones too that was very instrumental in the Trussville City School System start. And I didn't really know Dennis before I came onto the board. I'd heard about him and seen him, talked to him, and those things, but I knew his wife because she was Hill, because she was a teacher. And I just thank him so much for his vision, and the other people I probably don't even know that had a vision for the Trussville City Schools. And because of that vision, here we are now, with much room to grow and greater things. I mean, we have, as a school system, we have developed some tremendous talent within the school system. And I like to, although I'm proud of every teacher, every principal, every staff person, everybody within the school system, I like to recognize one other person that's sitting out there as well. I remember back, and Bill will remember this and see it too, back when Trussville City School was going through a tough time. We didn't have a high school principal at the time. At one time, we didn't have a superintendent. And we were struggling for a coach as well. And it was just a tough time. And I can remember us sitting in the, one of those executive sessions in there, I guess maybe 10 o'clock at night. But we put in some long hours many times. And Bill made the comment, I think we probably need to get some help over at the high school. And he went about trying to make that happen. And then he talked with Dr. Barry, Dr. Lisa Barry. And he came back and he said, she said, she got it. She don't need any help. And that's the kind of person, and I like to recognize you for that, Dr. Garrett, because that's the kind of person that she is. And that's the kind of people that are in our schools, people that are dedicated, people that are committed, people that have the children at heart. And it's been a pleasure and a privilege to serve on this school board. I had a parent one time to say to me, after a meeting, and this parent was having some issues with a child. Had a parent said, Mr. Garrett, we just don't know where you stand. We just don't know where you don't let anybody get close to you. And I said to that parent, I said, if you think about where I stand, after I tell you this, you'll know. I said, where I stand is on the side what's best for the students. That's where I stand. This parent said, I can appreciate that. So in everything that everybody said here, every decision that I've made or every decision that I've been a part of has been for the good of the student. Because I think that it's important, whether that student is in this system for 12 years or in this system for 12 days, that that child has something positive to say about the Trussville City School. And the only way that can happen is, just like you said, start from the top. Start with the superintendent, start with the school board, start in the classroom, teachers. And if you reflect back on your childhood days, you reflect back some of your best memories or when you were in school. And that's what we want these children to know and reflect back on Trussville City School, is that that's where my foundation was, and that's where I got my memorable moments. And because that system supported me, loved me, cared for me, taught me, encouraged me. And we have students that have gone on from Europe. We have professional athletes, we have doctors, lawyers, we have business people, we have all different walks of life that's come through the school system. And because of the teachers and because of the leadership in the system. So that's all I have to say. and I've always, the reason I've always been so quiet is because I just felt like I could more when I listened as opposed to talk. And I just don't believe in, if somebody else already said that, I don't see a need for me to say it again. So thank you. Thank you for all your love. Thank you for all your words. Thank you for all your gift, my gift. And I love Trussville City School. And I love what you do with the students. I love the community. I've been here since 1990. And I don't plan on moving. Thank you. I can make the most of it.
Refreshments are in the back.